going to our first video for CIS 114. Technology majorly let me down. This is the second time I've did this video. The first time I did the whole video and I turned it on and it didn't have any sound. I didn't have the mic turned on. So as much as I like computer science, sometimes I just absolutely hate technology. The district bought a cheaper program and I had to have to learn how to use it. All right, we're going to go through several things today. Here's what I would suggest. Um, the minimum requirement is you just watch this video. All right, you have to just watch the video and answer the question. I would strongly suggest that you cut aside a few minutes and sit down and type along with this. Put your whatever your device is. Watch if you're watching it on your cell phone, if you're watching it on your iPad, if you're watching it on some even a screen within a screen. Sit down, watch, listen to me. What I type into the computer, you type in the computer. It'll just make you better at the programming itself. All right, here's the opening of Visual Studios. Visual Studios was just opened. I want to left click on new project. I want to go up and hit empty project, then next. That was a left click and another left click. Let's name this, I'm just going to name this starter. All right. There, I mentioned this before. I've got a folder. It's directly under the location this whole program is going to be right under my C drive. I've got CIS 114 folder that I put everything in. It's up to you where you want to put it, but I'd strongly suggest you have a folder somewhere. And once you've got it into this box here under location, it'll always show up there. All right, now I want to left click on create. All right, here's my opening screen. You've seen this before. I want to go over to source files. All right, we're not going to be using the header files or the resource files in this class. So I want to go over to source files and I want to right click on it, not left click, right click on it, hit add, new item. We could name this anything we want. I'm just going to leave it filename.cpp. It's inside this ones.cpp program is inside of all the other little files that it takes to make this. So just remember that it's file name. You can call it anything you want. Then hit add. All right, let's put in our template, that blank template that I showed you. Pound include, this is a preprocessor directive saying I need IOStream, which is the files, the header files needed to do the input and output that we're going to do. Using namespace, still, I'm going to wait a little while before I explain that. Int main, open close parentheses, then bracket, curly brackets, go down 5, 6, 7 times, and then hit return 0. All right. There's the basic shell that you're going to be using. I forgot something right there. When you see a red line that means underline, that means there's a mistake. My mistake, it says my mistakes here, but my mistakes actually appear that I didn't put my semicolon. So when you see something underlined and in red, stop and address it right there. All right. So first thing I want to get into is variables. Variables is a part of your program where you tell the program to go in and block out a certain amount of memory, all right, and for something that you want to define. Here, I'm going to define an integer. An integer is a counting number. It can be negative or positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 782 negative 75. All those are integers. They don't go beyond the decimal. All right, they're whole numbers. So I'm going to have integer num1. and I'm going to give it the value of 5. Int num1, I cut out a place in memory. The program's going to refer to it as num1, and inside of the that memory is going to be the value of 5. All right, I'm going to do another integer. Int num2, because I'm not very original. All right, is worth 10. Int num3, I'm not going to give it a value yet. All right. So let's make this program do something. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cout, which is the command to output. And then I'm going to say my program. All right. The next line is I'm going to cout num1 equals do that. All right, this program is going to output the text, my program. Then it's going to output num1, and it's going to output this blank space, white space, equal sign, and another white space. And then it's going to put an line at the end of it. So let's run this. All right, you already see I did something wrong. All right, my program is smashed right up against num1. I forgot to put a new line in it. All right, so I want to go back up here and fix this right now. Put an endl in it. All right. Now, after it outputs my program, it'll progress and go straight down to the next line and put num1 equals. All right, my program, num1 equals. So far, so good. All right, on this same line, let's go ahead and make it output the number 5. The way to do that is just cout inside of quotation marks. You've got this, all right? And I've already put a space in there to make it look good. Then it's going to output num1. It's going to output the value, not the name num1. Num1 was output here, all right? It's going to output the value inside of num1. All right, go up and hit locals Windows debugger. All right, my program, num1 equals 5. All right, now this is where you can get into a lot of cut and paste. Watch this. I am going to left click and highlight this. I'm going to hit Control C. Then I'm going to hit Control V, and it outputs the same thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this num2, and it's going to output num2. So let the keystrokes be your friend. Highlight, Control C, which is the copy, which I'm sure most of you are aware of, but I'm trying to teach this from a level that you've never programmed or been around a computer much. All right. Control C to copy, then put the cursor where you want it to be, then hit Control V, then it'll copy over. All right, hit local Windows debugger. My program, num1 equals 5, num2 equals 10. All right, now this is getting into some of the things, things that C++, the language, and Visual Studios does. All right, cout num1 times, which is an asterisk, num2, And I'm going to put another indel at the end of it. All right. We should have the original 3 lines, and this one should output 5 times 10, which is 50. I'm saying what's at this memory, num1, multiplied by what's at this memory. So let's run this. All right. So you can see there's my program, num1 equals 5. There's the first 3 lines. Then this 50 is part of the code I just wrote. All right. So let's do something about this num3. This num3. It has no value right now. I'm going to go copy and paste this line here. I'm going to hit Control, hold down on the Control button, hit Control C. All right. I'm going to place the cursor there, and I'm going to hit Control V. Then I'm going to go in and change this to num3 and num3. Now let's run this. I haven't put a value in for num3. What's this going to do here? It's going to obviously print out everything inside the quotation marks. Let's see what happens. I've got an error. All right. The error comes from the fact that there is nothing in num3. We have to do something about that. All right. See these little squiggle marks? That's an error. All right. So all we've did so far is output. Let's do some real quick input. So cout is obviously output. Cin is input. All right. The arrows will go in a different direction. All right. Cin. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to do something first. I'm going to cout. Please enter num3. I gave it a quotation. I gave it a colon and a blank space. All right. Now I'm going to go Cin. Arrows going opposite direction. Num3. What happens here is now I went in and I made it where output. Please enter num3. So I'm asking the user, the person using this program, enter a number for num3. Once they enter it and they hit enter, all right, this Cin num3 will assign the value, whatever the user types, into num3. And then when we run this line, cout num3, right, it will output the whole line. So let me get rid of this white space. Okay, there's my original lines. Num1 equals 5, num2 equals 10, 50. Now please enter num3. That cursor now is just going to sit there and blink at me until I enter an integer. All right, I'm going to enter an integer. Let's call this was 100. So I'm going to enter 100, and when I hit the enter button, the program is going to assign that value 100 to the variable num3, and then it's going to output it to the screen. Here's what it looks like. Please enter the num3, and I input in 100. Nowhere in this code here does it say 100 because it's asked for a value, and the user has a user, in this case I'm the user, entered the value 100. Now it's assigned to num3. All right, that's it for this video. Like I said, this would work out better if you just sat down and typed this in. Maybe just all you'd have to do is bring up this screen, type this stuff in, and just see how it works and play with it some. All right, I'll see you guys in class. You have a good rest of the weekend.